joining us today is Lynn Greenberg, the founder and CEO of Pivt, a groundbreaking company dedicated to addressing the social well-being of relocated, mobile, and remote employees. So Pivot's journey began in 2014 when Lynn faced the challenges of relocating to a new city, sparking her passion for creating a solution beyond logistics and fostering a sense of community. So, in this interview, Lynn will be sharing insights into the future of work and mobility, the unique role Pivot plays in shaping that future, and the app's profound impact on combating social isolation. So, as a fellow startup founder, Lynn's experiences and vision will offer all of us valuable perspectives on navigating the intersection of technology, human connection, and the evolving work landscape. So, let's just dive into this conversation. So, my first question to you, Lynn, is about the origin. Can you share a specific personal experience that motivated you to address individual challenges in relocating to a new and unfamiliar place?
Sure. So, as you briefly mentioned, Pivot was started out of my own experience relocating to London right after graduating from college to work for Bloomberg, where I was 21 years old, didn't know anyone, and faced the issue that all people do when moving to a new and unfamiliar place, which is where do you start to make your new city feel like home? And despite the fact that I had a hefty relocation package, the one thing that was missing for me turned out to be the number one concern of all relocated employees, which is that social well-being. And I really needed things like, where do I live? Which bank do I join? What are the answers to the questions I don't know to ask? How do I meet people? Really, how do I make the most of this life-changing opportunity? And the more I spoke to people and did research, the more I found that this was, a much bigger problem than just myself. And that companies spend actually $90,000 relocating someone domestically, $300,000 on average relocating someone internationally. And a third of those people will quit their job within a year or return early due to the fact that they can't socially acclimate. And so we decided to come in and really solve something that was a pain point for me, and I think is a pain point for so many people. And really, the goal has always been, can we give people the ability to take these life-changing opportunities like I had and make the most of it, because they feel supported, because they have the resources in the palm of their hand where they can really feel comfortable in doing that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Talking about the industry focus, so Pivot addresses the social well-being, as you said, of relocated employees. So, how did you come about identifying that there's a huge need of this in the market? Like, how did you identify this niche, and what sets Pivot apart from other solutions?
Yeah, so originally Pivot started out as a consumer app for people moving and traveling to help acclimate in their new city. And we were live in New York and London when we were approached by HSBC. And they said, we came across your platform. We like what you're building. This is something we're struggling with our relocated employees and business travelers. Can you build this for businesses? And we went back to the drawing board, and what we found was staggering, which is the statistics I just mentioned. And, it was a different means to the end of really reaching our mission. And so, and the more people that we spoke to, the more people we really heard resonated with what we were building and, really saw the need. So currently in the market, there are solutions catered towards meeting people, right? So that social side, so you can say meetups, Bumble BFF, right? Facebook groups. You have companies that are focused on relocation logistics, and then you have information sharing platforms, Yelp, blogs, that sort. No one is really bringing this together and focusing on this demographic like Pivot is. So that's what's really setting us apart. The other component to it that we noticed is two things. The first is typically when people relocate for work, they are given a relocation package, which only lasts a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months. As I mentioned, really focused on the logistics. What Pivot is doing is we're a 12-month plus subscription. So we're given to you, the employee, the moment they find out about the move, and we really stay with them throughout their post. The other component is we also include free access to the partner spouse on our platform. That's a really big component that has been left out of the mix for a long time, where actually 70% of relocations will fail, not because the employee has difficulty acclimating, but because the partner or spouse have trouble doing so and they're left out of the mix. And so we really wanted to include them as well from day one, to make it just as much a part of as their journey as it is for the employee.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I totally get that you have to onboard everyone, like in your family, who are relevant to you, because it's a big move and then it impacts the lives of other people as well. So, Pivot aims to reduce employee turnover and improve well being. So, can you share any success stories or data demonstrating the positive impact Pivot has had on employee retention for companies using the platform?
Yes, we actually recently released our product 2.0 last fall, and what we're seeing is great utilization. So we're seeing actually the average user is using our platform 9 hours a month, which is really exciting. We've also heard stories from interns and people where they found roommates, where they've been able to cultivate connections, find resources that really made their transition a lot easier. And so that's something that we're looking forward to getting more and more of. And we're really excited that most of our companies that we're working with, and we're working with some pretty big companies, have expanded their scope with us, which is really exciting as well, because it's not just the users seeing the value, but it's the companies who are ultimately paying for it that's also seeing the value, which is really exciting.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, talking about collaborations and partnerships, so are there any strategic partnerships or collaboration that Pivot has engaged in to enhance its offering or expand its reach?
Yeah. So we work with over a dozen relocation management companies, which are 80% of the large corporations will outsource all of their relocation needs to relocation management companies, really handling the logistics, moving you and your things from A to B, helping with a variety of things regarding the move. So that's been a really, for lack of a better word, pivotal partnership for us, to really get into the door with a lot of these large corporates. We also have been exploring, we've also have some partnerships with corporate housing companies, which has been really interesting. We have started working with destination service providers and cultural and language trainers as well, which has been really interesting. And then as of 8 months ago, we started also working with some cities when we noticed that there was 71 cities and towns post-COVID that were incentivizing and oftentimes paying remote workers to relocate to their city in order to boost their economy. And so we've been partnering with those cities to help attract and retain top talent, really protect that investment, to help the people that move understand the narrative that they want to project about their city, help them build relationships, help with the relocation process, make them really love where they're living, stay, contribute back to the economy. So that's been a really interesting one.
So, a follow-up question to that is, how do you approach these partnerships and how do you maintain these relationships like over the years?
Yeah, so I would say each one is pretty different. With the relocation management companies, we typically, when we find a company that wants to work with us, and we are over the line contractually with a relocation management company, they will tell them to add it to their bill, and we will, work with the relocation management company to onboard them, and we'll give them oftentimes a referral fee. As of late, what we've been doing as well is we've also been offering bulk packages. So we've been working with some partners as well to buy licenses in bulk and to give that to some of the companies and the employees that they're working with, as well as, really help them build this in to cultivate success. So I would say it really depends on the type of partnership, but to date, that's really how it's gone.
Thank you so much. So, what trends do you see in the intersection of work and mobility in the next 5 or 10 years?
I think what we're already starting to see is the motivations for moving are shifting, right? Post pandemic, there was obviously a decrease in relocations where remote work became more heavy. However, we've seen throughout history that motivations for moving have changed, right? From the hunters and gatherers to corporate relocation to now more so what we're seeing, people moving for lifestyle changes, right? Due to inflation, due to climate change, due to war, right? Due to a variety of issues, people are moving for their own interest, right? And because of that newfound flexibility, a couple of years ago, we found that actually 23 million Americans relocated on their own due to the fact that they could work more flexibly. And so I think we're starting to see more of that, where people are putting their lifestyle first. They are looking to, move to places that maybe are more financially comfortable for their families and offer a lot of opportunities. I think what we're also seeing, which we've seen really for the last decade, is Gen Z as well as millennials value experience. And 70% of them would like to work and live abroad at some point in their careers, right? And so, that adds to the need to move, whether that be with their company, whether that be through a variety of different mechanisms. It's a great retention tool for companies as well. So I think there's a lot of trends that we're starting to see bubble up that will be really interesting to follow.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I have a final question, and that's a two-part question. So the first one is based on the trends that there are in the specific industry. How do you think new entrepreneurs or fellow entrepreneurs should be making the most of this opportunity? And the second question is just like any general word of advice that you might have for, entrepreneurs based on your journey. So it might be related to team building or anything else, that the challenges that you faced.
I think with relocation, I think what happened post-pandemic is really an appreciation for employee well-being and understanding that their success in and outside of work often correlates back to work, right? Doing well by way of your employees is also good business. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there to really be able to support employees in new ways, especially in relocation, where it's one of the 3 most stressful life events, right? And so it requires extra handholding, extra appreciation. And so I think that there are some real opportunities there from the people side of things and the human element of it. In regards to lessons learned and advice for entrepreneurs, generally speaking, I could go on and on just through some of the many mistakes that I've made and lessons learned. I would say, team is everything. So really surrounding yourself with people that are motivated, really complement you in new ways and challenge you, I think is really, really important. I think keeping as close as you can to the customer, as we're, even seeing month by month, the customer needs and motivations are changing. And so really understanding that, keeping a close pulse on that is really important. And really understanding your why. I think what a lot of people get wrong is they see startups being built and glorified, and what often is left out is that it's really difficult behind the scenes, and there's a lot of difficult days, and so being able to celebrate your wins, even the small ones, is important. And then, as I said, really being hyper focused on your why, because when it gets difficult, you really need to be looking back and saying, why am I building this? And that's really the thing that keeps you going.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's wonderful advice. Even I believe that, you need to stay humble on your good days and your bad days, and then just, keep going, because when you know your why, you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel at some point. So, you just
Exactly.
have to like keep going. So thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me today. I'm sure this not just in your like this particular industry about relocation, but also like other entrepreneurs will also find this interview very, very helpful.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.